What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Oof, this one's fun. We actually I just recorded the whole demo. So it's NEXA versus Astralis in his debut on his new team in his new home, OG, Flower Power, baby. NEXA in this game fragged out like crazy. And it was an ancient match, and OG won both their ancient games in their group, cleared the group. NEXA played incredibly well throughout the group. One of the best debuts that we saw, actually. OC, Modesty, NEXA, ALEKSIB. I mean, basically everybody had a great debut. So Dupree, Magisk both also did as well. This is just one of many, but this one actually stood out, even more in some ways. It was almost miraculous, and you start to think, oh yeah, NEXA was a fragger before he's an IGL, and this is a team where he probably has a lot of confidence calling for, and you could really see it. So why don't we go ahead and hop into the game? I really enjoyed this one. It's holding B on Ancient on the CT side for NEXA, and it's a game full of highlights, so enjoy. All right, let's get into the match, dude. It's NEXA, aka Sexa. I don't know if I get demonetized if I make the title Sexa, because sex is in the word, but there's probably some other words that have sex in them that you wouldn't get demonetized for, because you could say, probably, right? There has to be. I've been playing a lot of Scrabble, a lot of Wordle. I feel like there's got to be a word. Essex, all the unsex. Success, almost sound, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be some. All right, next CT side, Ancient, 1.1 million rating on this half. Actually, 1 million. I mean, that means this round is a lock. I mean, it's got to be. Let's see what he can do. I bet he gets 2. I bet he gets one of those games. I bet he gets 2. Yeah, Map Blast. That was that was clean. Oh, imagine. Oh my God, no way. Yeah. No, he went around. Yep. And 3, 2, 1. Oh, he's not gonna peek now, NEXA. You moved. No, you heard the shit. Oh! Oh! I missed this round. I think I was in the car. Wow. Oh my gosh. He actually won. This is gonna be a good one. Sexa. This match is the debut. I think this is the first one. This is the one played Ancient twice and then another map. He farmed both CT sides of Ancient. And what an extreme. Must be a good person. You can't play this well unless you're a good person. That's just a fact. NEXA is the guy who got swapped. He got swapped with ALEKSIB. Such a funny thing to happen. I did an interview with the Last Push Talk podcast, ALEKSIB and Dupree at the same time. And they just kind of answered questions that we've put on the podcast. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I asked ALEKSIB if he felt like there were anything in common with him and NEXA. He said, kind of, I can see it. And I personally always felt like, in terms of their preferred tempo, you can see some similarities between ALEKSIB and NEXA. Some of their calling style, very explosive calling style, I feel like. And then I also feel like very good tacticians. And I also feel like actually quite strong individual players. Now, you could even argue that NEXA is potentially a better individual player in terms of the numbers consistently across the years. But of course, they both actually can take over games. They really can take over games. I mean, ALEKSIB has, can get like a 25 kill half and do some really crazy stuff. I mean, absolutely put his mark on a map. So I think the peaks are similar, but the consistency probably towards NEXA, right? And NEXA, when he started out, he was called over to North American prison to be an IGL for the Renegades, I believe with Kassad. And I don't think he had a great time. It was in North America. Of course, he's a honorary Aussie now, but it was not a winning team, and he was a very promising prospect to come over from Europe. Oh, did he get that kill at the end too? God dang it. Mo's going to put that on the kill counter now. The missed kill counter. The only kill counter that matters. But it's an opportunity. Next in the spot, you can actually hear a lot of stuff, huh? It's a cool place to begin the round. You can hear all the nades outside B. Probably makes a lot of sense. If I'm going to play against OG, I'm going to start spamming this every round, right at the beginning of the round. I'm going to smoke him out cave myself. I'm going to start spamming this. NEXA, baby. What a player. He comes over to OG, and what a debut. Amazing. The first matches they play, they clean the group. It's like Alexi never left, doing well at last groups. That's the OG classic right there. I think he watches anime with Flames, I heard. So I think there's some camaraderie pre-existing from NEXA and the boys on OG. And for NEXA in this part of his career, it's a downgrade. It's to go to OG as a respectable team. It's not like, having to go to North America and play on a much lower level team and try to prop them up. It's still a team that can win and a team that got very close to closing out tournaments throughout the last year. And I really feel like the discourse around OG revolves around two things. Number one, they actually became very popular because of their Dota presence and also because ALEKSIB is super popular. And I think most of the players on the team have a good reputation. Like, everyone likes them. But that being said, we got to a situation where they were Blast partner and they were starting to get to top 10. I can't remember where they peaked, but they actually got pretty good. But they could not win events. They could not beat Gambit at all. They could not beat some of the top teams. There were some barriers there, and there was some trouble. So I think that created a situation where the classic case of expectations are too high. And I would say too high because when you look at the roster, Montu came on as an opper, as an emergency player. They were trying to get someone else, and then Montu came on and started opping. And then Montu played extraordinarily well, by the way, for his first year. Insane stats in 2020 in his first kind of career year playing against tier 1 teams. Valde came over from the roster from North, which wasn't a great project, and a lot of people who came out of North felt like they came out of hell basically. And this is his first good team in a while. But besides Valde, I mean, a lot of the players that came on the team are either free agents or really cheap to get. I mean, they paid for Flames. They got him from Endpoint. Like, they actually, as an org, I feel like we're quite smart. They picked up some players who are free. They got Nico, who was freed up after the Heroic deal. Probably got him for $50. After all that stuff went down. Well, kind of before that stuff went down, but when he got released from the team. Alexi, I guess, was a free agent. I don't know if he was still on ends exactly. But yeah, I mean, they picked up kind of scraps, and they were actually a really good composition and a very promising roster, and I think they overperformed. I feel like it's really a team that could have not done well, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. And I think the biggest thing probably where the point of contention was, I think ALEKSIB's popularity is like, extraordinarily high, and there was a lot of drama with him and Ents. And I feel like after the Ents situation, the expectation was, okay, ALEKSIB can prove that he was this, amazing IGL the whole time, and etc. So when he plays on OG, inconsistent results, still pretty good. But yeah, I think that there wasn't necessarily, an S tier caller at the helm. I think there was an A+ caller. I would call ALEKSIB an A+ caller. Again, I think the tactics are definitely there. A lot of explosive rounds. I think players who could fade into the background and have their stories erased actually played really well under him. But he didn't have an all-star lineup with Nico and Simple and Zaiwu and Hobbit and Shiro and Axel. He didn't have that. So he kind of getting second place at big events is actually not that bad. And now that he's on G2, we can really see, how much better he can get. And it's a weird time to bet against ALEKSIB because he's got even better players now. He's got Nico, and they're going to be able to win games. Even if ALEKSIB's calling stays stagnant, for example, they'll be able to win games just because they have Nico. And if m0NESY continues to play well, it's like technically those two potentially have a higher upside than any of the players on OG right now. But I think there's still a lot of promise with this roster. And I think for NEXA, he can also kind of prove, NEXA's kind of in the same place. A lot of people are doubting NEXA. I think NEXA is a great IGL. I don't know if, again, I don't know if I'll consider him an S tier IGL, but maybe A, but definitely A plus. Definitely A plus, actually. I really like a lot of his strats and stuff like that. I feel some inconsistency from the team play, and he had really, really strong players overall. But I mean, even G2 were not super consistent individually across the board. So, yeah, kind of the swap really makes a lot of sense to me. And I really believe that both IGLs will switch to their new teams and become better players, become better IGLs, and also make both teams better. I really think that. I really think that. I was not calling for Nexus head on G2. I think he could have stayed for sure. But I also believe that OG did make some pretty risky but smart and strong decisions that I think will also pay off. So, you know, they simply weren't willing to be complacent. They wanted to make a change. Yeah, so that's how I really feel. Kind of focus on the game again. But no one expected this. I mean, you kind of knew he was good, but just, you know, to just take over the game right away. That was the part that was pretty exciting, I feel. So the question really is, what can OG do this year? You know, Pimp made a great point, which was OG don't really have any bottom fraggers. You know, maybe Nico is not getting as much space or considered the weaker player on the team, if there would be one. But between him and Nexa, still, like, who, you know, there's, you know, Flames is the guy who, he's kind of like the Monasteer on a rifle, right? You want him to, I feel like Flames, if he keeps getting better at his trajectory, he can crack a top 5 at one point in his career. You know, I really feel like that. I think this kid is an extraordinary player and very creative and very unique. You know, he's one of the players, you can spectate him for 10 seconds and you know it's him. You feel, that's Flames. And I think that's really hard to do in today's CS. And of course, someone could play stupid every round and then you'd be like, yeah, that's him. And move their crosshair all weird, go, yeah, that's Pasha. But with Flames, it's because he's really creative about his micro decision making, you know, and someone's peeking him and maybe this calls for another Flames down. Here we are to watch Nexa. Locking down the B site. Getting fragging. Nothing too special here. So Astralis are dead silent. But Nexa has to be aware of a walk-up. When you're holding B on Ancient, you have to be aware of a walk-up at every second. The amount of pro games that I'm casting that people are just walking into B, sneaking into the cubby in the corner, sneaking up to the top of the banana and holding, staying out in the open and holding because people aren't going to peek all the way down banana if they think there's an opper. I need to take off my shoes to count how many people do that. So when you're here, sun's out, guns out. Okay? That's the most important thing I think about holding the site. Just make sure you're not weapon swapping too much. Checking your flanks is one thing, but you have to stay very unique to this site. You have to stay 100% focused at all times of risky walkouts. Especially when you start winning rounds on CT side, because that's the #1 desperation maneuver. So their Nexa throws a flash, I think, so the peak can come out towards long, but it's just a save on this round. We'll go into the next one. No odds here for Astralis. And again, rushes can be quite powerful, even if you're running through the artillery barrage from the T perspective, so pre-nading B is important. Of course, just like Banana on Inferno, it's kind of a mind game. Sometimes you apply more pressure, sometimes less. And as always, in any game, in any map, in any match, in any tournament, with any team in history, conditioning is important to when you try to think about how many nades you do throw, how much pressure you do apply, how many times you play one spot. Conditioning is a core component as an IGL or as a team to developing a really strong game plan in CSGO. I think the GOAT of that is definitely Glaive. I've talked about this many times. The absolute GOAT of conditioning. And I think when there's good conditioning, that's when you start saying, oh, IGL, really good game by the IGL. Wow, nice calls. All right, this will be I don't know, they just got to get out of here pretty much. That's it. No chance. They need their donut guys to pull off that retake. We didn't get their perspectives. Maybe we're a little bit slow on the CT rotate. I don't know. Also, just like on B, CTs have to be always prepared for somebody to walk through the sniper's nest inside of mid. And again, just pay attention to NEXA and how stiff his crosshair is on this ramp at all times, at every part of the round. Actually takes quite a bit of concentration. Sitting out here can be a little dangerous just because of the spam through the wood wall. But it doesn't feel like Astralis are applying tons of pressure in this regard right now. You could say he's really careful at all times. Oh, they don't even have cave control. Okay. So let's see what NEXA does if he just wraps around. I think, you know, he's only got 4 teammates, so they can stack if they want to. But this spot over here on the left side of the site is a really high frag location. The number of clips that you see, like Twist get, or I'm sure we'll see NEXA get in this game. It's a really important place to play, and you can play by yourself and still, you know, get two kills pretty regularly. Wow, what a beast shot from Config. This round might be a wash, but yeah, you can see they just didn't use any utility and came into the site. Yo, even with the smoke up, you're watching like a hawk. Pupils are dilated, okay? You're zooming mentally and literally. If you sit here, I mean, actually lean, you know, bring your monitor closer or lean forward. But it's better for your back to bring the monitor closer. But it's worse for your eyes. But it's important for the round. Strike that balance. Look at this. He's even paranoid about walk-ups all the way to the back here. That's responsible. You break a sweat, you stare that long. It's normal. Don't be embarrassed about it. This is pretty much, if you think about it, sports are just esports without the E. So, if you perspire, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And you got to be careful not to get upped while also getting some info. Oh, next like, now they want to put some pressure. Look what an empty flash sometimes can do. Brings out a whole smoke that he didn't want to throw for the rest of the round. Supporting flashes for mid. When you're flashing for your teammates, you know, copy and paste these flashes. But a rule of thumb is if they've got a roof above them, try to flash over that. You know, if they're going to exit somewhere. Flashes that are a little high are great because your opponents won't see them sometimes just simply because they're too high. And also, if you can flash above a roof, like you can flash over top of Secret, for example, if you're in mini, or sorry, if you're like, you know, you're Zywoo and you want to flash for Apex, who ran Secret this round or something, you can flash for him over top of Secret and peek right underneath the flash, right? And, okay, I think the hold's coming on. I'll finish my point. So next is a loose piece. You see this. That molly's going to... Oh, yeah, okay. The molly came out a little late, but it's good. Okay, we're just fragging. Really well covered. So position like that, just make sure you... If your teammate tucks, you just take that off angle out in the open. Just take that fight out in the open. Your goal is to get one guy and do 50 damage. And then the other, your teammate can swing. They're not going to expect 2 to be tucked. That's the idea. So as soon as NEXA sees his teammate there, he's not trying to double up with him in the corner. He's not trying to take his own corner. He's there to hold an open angle, make sure that he can do early damage while the situation is ongoing with the plant before people get to their good plant spots. So if you see a teammate sets up like that, or you want to set your teammate up like that, you know, make sure you're either baiting yourself for them or vice versa, and just play off that. And use that as the keys, right? Use that as kind of the warrant to go ahead and fight. You know, most of the times in Counter-Strike, like, don't fight, don't stand out in the open, play the good angles and stuff. But when you're doubled up in a position like that, you're just trying to get the off-angle advantage. Take that early fight. Don't be too cheeky. Don't let people get back to their good spots. Kind of need to trust your teammates sometimes. Another position that you can flash over if you're flashing for a teammate would be if you're the cat rotator on Mirage. Flashing over top of triple is a very common one, just behind people on the site. Because thinking about the site itself, everyone's looking at A ramp, looking at Palace, right? When they're trying to defend the site. So as long as you flash behind them, flashing over top of triple, no one gets blind. They can all fight forward. And the big thing is they don't have to turn. Sometimes you throw a flash that your teammate has to turn from, but there's lots of ways to flash for your teammates where they don't have to turn. And this is the cutest little angle. Again, here's the kind of bait. Next is the loose piece once again, but he now has already dragged the attention, so that's when you can easily forget about someone else. And yeah, some great frags here from Nexa. So you can see actually just in that moment where Flames is tucked in the corner and Nexa's peeking, the roles are a little bit reversed, right? Because if Nexa swings out and takes that first fight after he takes attention, then it's kind of a waste because they probably don't know about Flames. So if they walk past Flames and clear him, then Nexa can swing. But if they don't clear him, Flames could get 2 kills and maybe stay alive, and Nexa can swing after that. So the dynamic changes real quickly. But yeah, from the CT side, whenever you create these connections with your teammates, you're always looking for ways to draw attention, then peek, and then trade that back. And of course, Counter-Strike it's a lot like chess, but it's fluid. It's not, and it's not turn-based. So these things happen fast, very fast. I think that spot that Nex was just in where he just swung, that's a very dangerous place to be. That's where you always get one deke dropped or hard cleared. You can see they're trying to put some pressure on him. I think the longer the round goes on, the better this spot gets. Early round, whatever, 50-50. If they clear you, they don't, whatever. But it's always a good position to be. It's just that wood wall makes it a little vulnerable. But later in the round, when people are less willing to spam, they're trying to turn down the volume so they can go into their execs, then positions like this become even more powerful. And also, it's the maximum freedom for your teammates to rotate. So if Nexa gets into this cubby all the way deep in the site, look at purple over here on the mini-map. If he wants to come into V, that position where Nexa I was talking about was a high frag location, he has full reign over that spot, and Nexa can support him. Now, if Nexa stayed over there, then they might be in some awkward double-up, like we saw in that previous round, and they have to play off each other. So oftentimes, when you look at these Counter-Strike sites, usually when you get the more committed positions in the sites, they're great for one kill, and they open up some of the more versatile locations in the back of the site that allow your teammates to frag out. So here, early round, not cleared. Wow, super sharp, man. Oh my God, he's full blind. Wow, what a round from Nexa. He's basically full blind. That's an unbelievable second to last round here. That is crazy. He got 3. I think Flames, he got the end one, but wow, that third frag. He was full flash there. It was a flash that only lasted a second or two, but he was completely blind. He's feeling it. Be a shutdown. It has worked out a couple times for Astralis, so we're just gonna hedge on B and just get over here. Ooh, this makes for a compelling situation. Okay, the rest of his team are popping off too. Flames would get traded. They still seem to be confident that there's someone around here. You can see Nex is actually just making sure. He won't see anyone for the time being. Still convinced. Always got to be aware of lurks. All times. So here they actually clear the snipers and mid, so they don't have to worry about this flank. And if you have the time, always wait out the smokes. Sometimes people will wait in front of the smokes, especially when things get hairy. And Nexa here on the last round. He knows where the bullets came from. So he's winning pretty much every fight, and this one will be no different. Wow. Overall, we watched the ROPS demo. There was like so many crazy plays, and like That was one of the best demos ever. If you don't watch the Rops demo, I really recommend going back and watch that one. This one's more textbook. That's all Nexa needs to be. You know, he needs to follow the textbook and be a really if he's a consistent fragger, his team is more than powerful enough, you know, behind him. So basically, that's what we saw. Stellar performance. He's not always going to be able to deliver that, but we might see him be an even better player consistently over the year than he was on G2, where I'm sure he kind of felt like a little brother on the team. You know, he's he's the guy. He was the caller. He had a lot of responsibility, but he's also playing with some real titans. You know what I mean? I mean, calling on a team with Nico, for example, that's unlike calling on a team with anyone on OG. That's just the facts, and that's not to speak to attitude or anything like that. It's just, you know, the magnitude of the situation is a little bit different now, and I think that's alleviation of pressure, and also I'm a firm believer that IGLs going to new teams is always a great thing, because I feel like you get so much baggage that you collect with your old rosters, and you get to put that away. You learn all of the mistakes, and being in IGL is managing the match just as much as it is managing the personalities, and being able to go to New 5 with a renewed sense of confidence. So many lessons learned where you don't have to make the mistakes the next time. I feel like that can make you a lot stronger as a person, a player, as an IGL, everything like that. So yeah, great game, super solid, sick rounds. Looking forward to more Nexa play. Hope you enjoyed that one. And as always, BSAP, I'm going to be doing the rest of the debuts as well here at Blast, because there's still a few to chew through. Jisk, Dupree, I think we did Alexi. No, maybe we didn't do Alexi on G2. There's a bunch of new ones that I have to make sure I get, but I'm going to do them. I'm going to get them. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, be safe.
Big dog shit, got my paws all dirty. Looking for a plate, that's why the dogs up early. With it white big, eat it like a McFlurry. I ain't got time to chill, I'm in a hurry. P the game, I got it for my daddy ho. Smoking dope, but saying raps out